Republican Senator Rand Paul sits on both the Foreign Relations and Homeland Security committees. And Senator, great to have you with us. You heard James Clapper's response to the question, are America's allies spying on America? And his answer was categorical, quote unquote, absolutely. Well, if that's true, should America stop spying on its closest allies?
Well, I guess the real question is who's in charge. The president doesn't seem to know if he's spying on our allies. To me, from where I sit, it doesn't seem like a good idea or doesn't seem to advance diplomacy for us to be spying on our allies, particularly the personal phone of the president of Germany for 10 years. I think that seems unseemly, and I think that really goes against having good relations with your allies.
And it's a fair point, but of course, you know, Senator Paul, people on the other side of this say, look, America doesn't have the luxury of not spying when other people are spying. If your allies are spying on you, then you got no choice.
Yeah, didn't we have something about that when we were children, about two wrongs don't make a right? I would say that I want our government to spy on terrorists, on people who they have probable cause they may attack us. But I think wasting time like spying on 70 million Spaniards or 30 million French or 124 billion pieces of information from Americans, I don't feel any safer, but I do feel like my privacy is being intruded on. I think the rest of the world feels that way. So the question is, will it eventually have counterproductive effects, us being this great spy lord for the whole world?
The spy lord. All right, well, let me just play something else that James Clapper said today. Here he is.
We face an unending array of threats to our way of life, more than I've seen in my 50 years in intelligence.
And of course, Senator, I mean, you know, obviously he's talking about broader threats, but you're saying it's okay to spy on terrorists, but not our allies. But of course, 9/11, as we now know, I mean, a significant part of that was coordinated and planned in Germany. Industrial espionage, for example, happens all the time. The Europeans, I'm sure, would love to spy and get all they could on America's biggest exporter, Boeing, so they could get advantage for Airbus. So why wouldn't we spy on Europe to help Europe too?
Yeah, but here's the thing, Erin. You have now the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Leahy, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, or one of the committees in the House, James Sensenbrenner, two authors of the Patriot Act, now saying that the head of our intelligence, because we don't seem to know who's in charge, I mean, it is conceivable that the head of the intelligence is spying on our president's cell phone. So we really don't know who's in charge, and we think that they've overstepped their bounds. But you have people who were authors of the Patriot Act now saying our intelligence agencies have gone too far, not to mention that James Clapper came to Congress and lied and said he wasn't doing surveillance, wasn't collecting any data on Americans. So there's a lot of trust being lost, and I think there's a great deal of credibility lost in the Intelligence Committee, and we have to trust our officials if we're going to let them have such sensitive information about our personal lives.
Your fellow Tea Party-backed Republican Marco Rubio is among those now who actually seems to support these programs, even with the fact that, you know, as you say, there's been a huge lack of transparency. Here's what he said just a couple days ago.
Everyone spies on everybody. At the end of the day, if you are a U.S. government official traveling abroad, you are aware that anything you have on your cell phone, on your iPad, could be monitored by foreign intelligence agencies, including that of your own allies.
I mean, Senator Paul, I totally understand your point. You want to really know what they're doing, and of course you have a right to, especially given all the committees you're sitting on. But, you know, CEOs have told me it takes the Chinese 90 seconds to steal every piece of data from your hotel room, the French maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, but again, here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing, Erin. There's 4 billion people on the planet. If we're going to spy on everybody all the time, if we're going to have this big brother state that we are going to live in, I'm afraid that detracts from actually focusing in on the terrorists. We had one terrorist, the 20th terrorist, the 20th hijacker, we caught a month in advance of 9/11, and we just didn't do good police work. We didn't even ask for a warrant. So I think this excessive surveillance state where everybody's equally a terrorist, and we're going to look at every American's records, I think it distracts us from the prize, and the prize are terrorists. And I think we need to focus in on terrorists and not be such a dragnet that we bring every innocent American and every innocent person in the world into our surveillance system.
Maybe the haystack is too big to find the needle, which is an interesting point. Before we go, you wrote a letter today. I have it here on your letterhead. It says you object to a vote on Janet Yellen's Fed chairmanship unless there is a vote on your bill about transparency transparency at the Fed. So in English, translating that, you tried to do something similar with the John Brennan CIA nomination, which resulted in your 13-hour famous filibuster, which obviously is not sort of a great image for the American people right now. Are you prepared to stand there and filibuster again?
We'll see, but I do want to make the point that for 3 years we've asked Harry Reid for a vote on audit the Fed. It passed the House overwhelmingly. Over 100 Democrats and all of the Republicans voted for auditing the Fed. We're supposed to be in charge of the Fed. We created the Fed, and Congress has abdicated its duty, and a lot of people are getting rich off of Fed activity. We have a huge stock market bubble. A lot of wealthy people get wealthier, but I think a lot of poor people are getting poorer, and I think our economy is struggling. There's an illusion of wealth. So I'm for looking into what's going on at the Fed and not allowing it to be secret.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator Paul. We appreciate it. It's always good to see you.
Thanks.